And so now, Romulus, each of the last 13 of the first 100 hyper chiefs of the cartoon Native American value nature system, as the Constitution unabridged this concept I have brought up. Now each of the last 13 of the first 100 hyper chiefs of all the tribes and chiefs, Romulus, we are now somewhat individually grouped and together, somewhat relieved this season, this year. And because, like for example, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, as chiefs, with this breaching method, there is a predicate acts delivery system method, Romulus. There is a breaching method using the human factory nature. And so, for example, through time, if we try to make the compost, everything makes a different type of soil, Romulus. In the ancients, our foreparents, even the seven ancients, they remembered how to, and they had access to all kinds of species where everything is tactically denatured and was tactically denatured, and we play stupid. We have to keep our people stupid because we learned from defense, fighting from retreats. We learned that there's certain things that we could not do without hurting ourselves, like show memory of proper farming methods. These were crazy data and are crazy database relationships. And there are fluxes and there are flowing times. And in relationship to the records that they keep, that are tactical ulterior than the ones that we keep and have kept the last 13 of the first 100 hyper chiefs. And then where the hyper chiefs became a counter to that which is invisible but still discernible, but that is yet discerned. And by our factory nature simultaneously, Romulus, colonists A through Z, they too are victim predators of this. This has long divided Native Americans A through Z from Native Americans A through Z. It perfected what it was using that for, not just to divide and conquer, Romulus. Not just to exploit that, Romulus. Not just to exploit the live progressions to each identity of the ground, not just to exploit each identity of the ground location, Romulus. To keep that in collusion with which was originally the method. To all identity of the ground locations. And in relationship to this concept I also brought up to you earlier about the computers. And the 1700s, the computers will not be made aware to the people, and these are the concepts, including the farming methods. But I will speak to you now about it because each of the 13 tribes now we must rush because we're going to do what we'll call a revolution, Romulus. Will be called a revolution, which is apart from war. But once again, we must walk through the doors of war. But this time, with end in sight, or hope for it end. To the protracted uses, not just of tribes A through Z, not just through Native Americans, A through Z, Romulus. A1 through Z, how many people have Romulus? This is all each identity, the ground location. This is messing with an ancient system, the ancient republic that was the education that they separated us from. It was the system /S. Anything discernible, anything that could be made up, has attached to it its identity of value progression. And while it has that value too, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, while it is as itself, its identity of relationship to itself is an increasing value simultaneously with itself, and that's discernible. And the value of that is also increasing from inside itself. It's discernible because it's from inside itself. Because it is greater than all things, while it is more finite than all things. Romulus, you know boxings, but the sciences and the sports, and the martial arts, Romulus, you know the martial arts, you know the boxing, and you know the projects I have given you and you and your brothers. You know you are black, Romulus. You are not Native American. And I found you and your brothers and raised you Native American. But that's not why you're Native American. Every person has what is this native identity of volume as science, as each science individually grouped and together. And where and how that is not true. It is the identity, it is anyway because of the identity of where and how the other sciences are the identity of that science. Each identity, this is how, we'll get to this, Romulus, this is music science. Each of the notes individually grouped and together share an identity of volume that bonds them. And two, its identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that being the cause to and as positive value nature progressions, acts and natures. So we must prepare for war. We must walk through the door of war. But we must, at last, to see its end. No revolution. No the protraction of the short words that we have for so long been forced to ignore and play stupid.